Miles, how are you doing?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
Good, man. The Westerns are my favorite genre, so this is going to
Oh,
probably be
perfect.
one of your all-time easiest interviews. But first off, this movie is amazing because it starts off with me thinking of it. It's Once Upon a Time in the West, and then as
Mhm.
it traverses, as you know, it reminds me of John Ford's Monument Valley, and then with
Yes.
and then with the wonderful music in this movie, it reminds me
Yeah.
of Sam Peckinpah's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. So
Yes.
can you just talk about all of these beautiful elements? I'm not saying this movie's copying these things, but
Yeah.
what's it like to be part of such a singular Western such as this?
Yeah, you just said it right there. It's a singular Western. There's a lot of, especially nowadays, there's a lot of Westerns coming out. And it's really easy, and I'm a lover of Westerns. They're my favorite genre. They have been ever since I was a kid. But it's really easy to go into the cheesy element of Westerns. And what's so special about this is it is a singular Western. They have this score that underscores the whole film. It tells, it could be a silent film, and you could just have that score over it and it would tell the story. It's really brilliant. And I think what makes it even more special is the script. It's based off this novel, Harry Whittington's Desert Stakeout novel from 1961, and it plays out more like a play. It's almost as if you're listening to an audible story kind of play out. And I think that makes it really unique. It's not just a shoot 'em western like a lot of these nowadays. It has a real play aspect to it, which I think is really special. The dialogue is really unique. And we couldn't stray from dialogue too. In a lot of movies, you can stray from the dialogue. You can add a little improv. You can bring a little different things to it, change up the dialogue. On this one, the director and producers like we are sticking to the words of the novel. And I always say to people like Westerns are Shakespeare, you know? The Greeks have the myths, the UK has Shakespeare and we have the Western. That is our folklore. That's our mythos. So I think we really stuck to that and made something special for sure.
On making something special, I remember as a kid, the first time I ever saw Shane, and I was thinking, what a great
Mhm.
human being with so much value, right? He has so
Yeah.
many values to him. And then as I grew up a little bit more, got into the Man with No Name trilogy and getting that type of presence. So for you as as an actor and as an artist and a musician as well, what's it like actually playing a character who's has these iconic elements to him, but he's also a very principled human being too?
Yeah, that was it. That was probably the most difficult part because I grew up, watching John Wayne and Clint Eastwood especially, and he was like an anti-hero in all his films. He has a real dark side to him, whereas Merrick Beckford in this film, he is tried and true, a good guy. He has a good heart, and not that means that he won't do bad things, to save people, but he sticks to this moral code throughout the whole story no matter what temptations come his way, like this woman he falls in love with, no matter the threats, like these three outlaws trying to kill him or driving through, Indian territory in the 1800s was a very deadly experience. No matter those threats, he sticks to this moral code because he knows what's right and what's true, and what he's doing is a good thing and the right thing to do. He needs to bring this medicine down to these people down south in San Carlos at this mission where these people are dying. And he's been tasked to do it. And I think that's a really unique thing. Most people, they bend, they bend to temptation, they bend to threats, which is a normal human trait. But Merrick Beckford won't do it. He sticks to what's right and what's true. And I think that's a really special trait, especially among Western kind of characters in movies.
This movie did not have a 100 million or $150 million budget. Okay.
No. No.
But all that said, within working with those indie confines, what's it
Yeah.
like to have a Western that's actually visually arresting, even though it does have those play elements, which is great,
Yeah.
but it's just some really immersive visuals. So
Yeah, really immersive visuals. And, Travis, the director, he knew exactly what he wanted from day one, which is you really need a director. You need a director that knows how he wants the film to look and feel. And then also like Maxine, the DP, he's really talented. He's done the $100 million films. He is a tried and true studio DP. So he brings these kind of arresting visuals, like you said. And then the topography of where we were shooting in Arizona, kind of north of Prescott, is a really special place. You have these boulder-like mountains similar to Joshua Tree, but throughout them you have these winding estuaries of this kind of beautiful blue water, which is really rare. I've never seen it. And I've traveled all around this country and I've never seen anything like it. So it lends itself to be a really beautiful film. And we don't have any film set. There's no saloons, there's no towns, which is really kind of like quintessential to most Westerns. So we didn't have any of that. And so I think that makes it a really unique film.
I think a lot of people, once they see this movie, if they're not familiar with your work, they're going to ask themselves questions. I'm going to ask myself some questions. I'm going to definitely want to dive into your resume as well, and then also your music. But with all this stuff, what drives you in general as an artist? Are these different practices, different motivations, or is there one driving force?
Hmm. It's just all my passion. I don't consider any of this my job. I could be broke, and if I'm doing it, it's that's all I want to do. It's just my passion. So I think I grew up in the West. I grew up in California and driving cross country every year because my dad's also an actor, and I come from a family of ranchers on my mom's side. And so this kind of story of the West, this mythos of the West is ingrained in me. And whether it's, through country music or directing Westerns or acting in Westerns, I just I love this backbone of the Americana story. I think, like I was saying before, England has Shakespeare and we have the Western. And so it's just been ingrained in me since I was a little boy to tell these stories. And whether it's through music or acting in film or directing in film, I just love telling these kind of stories because there are myths and I want to keep them going.
As a kid, did you just grow up with the camera and then all those other things branched out, or did you grow up with a guitar or a microphone? What was the first
Yeah.
instrument that led you to all these different avenues, I suppose?
Mm. I think growing up and watching movies, my dad's an actor, so I grew up around it, but I wasn't really aware of it. But ever since I was a little boy, I've been making movies. I stole my parents' camcorder and I forced all my friends to dress up as cowboys and Indians and as Romans and Greeks and knights, and I directed them when I was 7 years old. It's ridiculous, but I don't know. I've always loved making stories and creating stories, and I grew up in a household full of crazy artists. My mom's blasting music on, the record player and singing like a cuckoo lady. And my dad's, in his underwear, you know, trying to memorize these Shakespeare lines to do Shakespeare in the Park. So I grew up around it, and I think it's just ingrained in me to tell stories and till the day I die.
Okay, final couple questions. What's it like? Great opening sequence, and I was reminded of Once Upon a Time in the West, and when you have that showdown at the train station, you have all these really great
Yeah.
character actors. What was it like opening this really ambitious Western with a great actor like William H. Macy, and then on
Mhm.
top of that, just working with a really great ensemble like Armie Hammer and Thomas Jane, just all
Yeah.
veteran actors and whatnot. So.
Yeah, William H. Macy was amazing. And he was only on set that one day, so I didn't even get to talk to him before we got on set. And we're out there in Monument Valley, where John Wayne stood in so many of his famous westerns overlooking that, famous topography, right? And so I was a little nervous, but he's just the nicest guy in the whole world, William H. Macy. And he came so prepared. He's so talented. He broke out his little banjo on set. He was just strumming along. We are all dancing and singing around with him. So it was really amazing working with these actors on this film because there was no pretense about any of them. At the end of the day, we all just sat around a campfire and talked and told stories. And that's a really special thing because, as a younger actor like myself, when you're quite literally up against, an Academy Award winner and a Golden Globe nominee, it can be quite daunting. But I think the fact that we're just all out there in the elements together, really brought us together and made it a special kind of thing acting with these actors. And they, of course, just elevate the word in the film. It is like a play more than a screenplay. So the people saying the words really need to be able to elevate the dialogue, and people like Thomas Shane in every single scene in this movie really do just that.
The final question is a two-parter. Just after people watch Frontier Crucible, they might want to actually go check out, like I said before, your resume and check out your movies. Can you name one of one movie that you feel is underrated, underappreciated that you would like for us to
Mhm.
watch and what makes it special? And then the B side of that is I'm going to ask you the most impossible question of this interview is can you name one Western that really means a lot to you personally and why? So,
Yeah, two good questions. Well, I think I'm not great at talking about my own work, but one thing I'm really proud of that's coming out soon is called The Pendragon Cycle. It's a 7-part series based on a young adult novel. It's this whole big fantasy series, very much like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. and it's coming out January 22nd, and I think that's really special. It's really big. It's like the biggest TV show I've been a part of, so I think people are really going to enjoy that, and they should look out for that. And in terms of Western, that's really hard. I've watched maybe every single Western ever made, but my favorite, wow, that's hard.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the day, right? Or maybe just something that you go back to time and time again, a specific
Yeah.
Western.
You know what I love? I love Kevin Costner in Dancing with Wolves because it's not like your typical Western, you know, and I've watched every single Clint Eastwood Western, every single John Wayne Western, but Kevin Costner in Dancing with Wolves is honestly one of my favorite Westerns because again, like Frontier Crucible, there's no towns in it. It's just one man trying to do good in this place that makes you want to do very bad things. And he's kind of like Kevin in that film is really like reckoning with his past as a cavalryman, having done very bad things to the Native Americans, and he comes to find himself out there in the American West. And kind of I relate to that. It's kind of like one of my comfort films because I came to find myself as well out in the American West, you know, out alone on the prairies and the mountains. And so I think that's got to be my favorite American Western.
Wow, it's amazing. Great choice, Miles. Thanks again so much for your time. Really love Frontier
Thank
Crucible.
you so much, man.
We'll definitely watch more of your films and definitely get a listen to Miles Wyatt as well. So,
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, Greg.
pleasure. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.